So I'm picking up some discourse online that Monster Hunter Wilds is too easy, says many Monster Hunter players, and we've been here before. In fact, I used to be guilty of the same thing when Monster Hunter Rise drops. The new Monster Hunter games are always accused of being too easy, but I'm here to say you're probably wrong. You're probably wrong, and we're going to talk about why the difficulty of Monster Hunter Wilds low rank specifically is just right. Welcome back, hunters, to my journal series as I play through Monster Hunter Wilds all the way to the credits and experience everything this game has to offer. I have just made it to a critical point in the story. I'm still in low rank. I have just fought the best Rathalos fight of my life, and I know that I cannot address the difficulty of higher rank, endgame, all that good stuff that happens much later in the game, but I feel I have played the game enough to comment on the difficulty of Monster Hunter Wilds, because at the time of my last video, my last journal, I too was thinking this game feels a little too easy, the monsters are dying too fast, and I've been seeing more and more discourse online of people who have played much further than I say the same thing, that this game is too easy. And what I think happens, it's a cycle. I think what happens is you end up playing the real end game of a Monster Hunter like Iceborne, like the expansion and the full end game stuff, which is dialed up to the max difficulty. And then when we go back to a base game, it just feels easy in comparison. And yes, it will feel easy in comparison, and that is by design, and that is fine. Now, when I look at low rank Monster Hunter Wilds, from my experience, and to give you some context, if you're new here, I started in Monster Hunter Worlds, I played through Iceborne, I played through Rise, Sunbreak, and then I went back in time and I played Monster Hunter 3U, GU, 4U, not in that order, I did 3U, 4U, GU. So I have experienced a lot of different degrees of difficulty in Monster Hunter. I have amassed a decent amount of experience in this franchise, and I'm actually karting in low rank, which has caught me by absolute surprise that I would be karting this much. Like, the difficulty all of a sudden just went from this is really easy to whoa, what's going on? I got my first cart to the tentacle monster, which is, it's nice. He's a very iconic monster, and I'm okay saying he gave me my first cart. In revenge, I took all his tentacles except for one, so that was fun. I could never say before Monster Hunter that I've taken all the monster's tentacles from it, but now I can. So thank you, Capcom, for that. To wrap up my point on difficulty, if I'm karting with my most comfortable weapon that I have so much experience with, you could say I'm a garbage hunter. And I will argue I am not garbage, I am not peak, I am a mediocre player. So as a mediocre player, if I am karting with my main weapon in low rank, it's because the game is fine-tuned to have the right difficulty. And if you are not karting, congratulations, you're a very good player and you should applaud your skills. Another thing I feel that doesn't mix right is sometimes Monster Hunter gets compared to the Soulsborne franchise, and the Soulsborne franchise is known to pretty much smack you down from the very first boss. It's not uncommon to struggle with the first boss of a Soulsborne game. Monster Hunter has never really been like that. They've always had a nice linear difficulty curve until eventually they decide to spike it. Low rank Monster Hunter has always been about introduce the hunter to the monsters, the locales, the story of the game, whatever it is, and here it's quite heavy. And they're threading it so nicely, whereas now we're progressing in the story, I want more, the difficulty is spiking just nice. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with high rank and the end game of the base game, because they're only going to add more and more difficult stuff. I still remember when Rise was being accused of being too easy, and they're like, here you go, have some endgame Apex monsters, and then people were like, sure, it's harder, but it's BS. So anyways, you can make an argument that it's too easy for you, which that's completely a fair opinion. If you are bored and you think it's too easy, you can say the game is too easy for you. I'm not going to criticize that. But I think from a design perspective and the way that Capcom is approaching this game to be accessible to the masses and to be respectful of the franchise, I think the difficulty is just right for what it is. You can disagree with that too. That's the whole point of discussions. So let me fill you in on what I've been doing, what I've been learning since my last journal, where I believe we left off we were tracking down the Doshiguma, and so I hadn't fought an Apex or anything, and now I've made it past 3 Apex monsters, and I've encountered the pure sweet joy that is the Rathalos fight of this franchise. And I feel I gotta we're going to save it to the end. We're going to go in order. We're going to go in chronological order. So one of the first things that I did is I fixed all the problems with my hunter. I actually redeemed my free voucher on PC to fix him. Last journal, I was complaining about his voice. It was really bugging me so much. So I fixed his voice. I went with default voice, and I fixed his hair. It was okay on the top, but like it was missing like this like little fluff on the side like what I have here. And so I really wanted that. Got him his hair. I learned that you can adjust the length, which is really not that big. Like the slider for length of hair is so minimal, they shouldn't even have it at that point. But anyways, we gave our hunter some length of hair, and he looks immaculate. Like he looks so good. And honestly, this is the best drip I've ever had in a Monster Hunter game, especially at low rank. I can't get over how good he looks, he sounds, he's got the best hat I've ever had in my life. And now I've actually started souping up my armor, so you're going to probably see 3 versions of my armor in this journal, depending on what the editor does. Classy, my Palico also got a nice little upgrade. We made him a little mech where he's like little feet dangle and he just goes around a robot. It's really cool, love that. And I ran into actually an issue with the story. A funny issue where I was expecting to play this game with all the weapons like I was doing with Monster Hunter GU, where I was learning how to be an Omni Hunter. I'm like, I'll just go in this game and play with all the weapons, and I tried that. What I've realized is the story pulls you in so much, and if I'm switching my weapons between the story, it doesn't feel as authentic to me. And I'm like, my Hunter is a switch axe user. Like, to me, that's my headcanon. And so in the cutscenes, I want to see the drippy Hunter with the switch axe because it's stylish, it looks good. And so now I realize, shoot, for the entirety of the story, I want to play with my switch axe because it feels so good, it feels right in the story. And I think once I get to endgame, I'm going to open it back up to fighting different monsters with different weapons, trying to figure out what are the good matchups, what are the most fun matchups, and I'm going to actually document this here on this YouTube channel. That's one thing I think I'm just going to enjoy experimenting is which weapon do I really like fighting with monsters, and I will give you the Hey Jay rating of what are good pairs. Going back to the story anyways, we were at the Doshaguma pack attacking the village. This is when I was still annoyed with the story because like they're constantly just putting you into this fixed camera. It's like, look at this, go here, look at this, hunt this. And I'm just like, oh my God, can you stop? But now that I want more of the story, I'm kind of sold into the whole experience of, okay, let's just go to the next hunt. However, Monster Hunter Wilds shakes up the whole preparation mechanics so much from its roots that I keep forgetting to eat. I keep forgetting to empty out my items and organize my items. I'm getting better at it, but like, you know, it's not like the old Monster Hunters where you go hunt, you come back, you're in the village before you leave. Hey, you better eat, you better prepare your items, and okay, off you go. Here it's interwoven so much more subtly. I'm just lost in the story. I'm like, Alma, just like, wait for me. Oh, wait for me. Let's go here. And I'm like, wait, I forgot to eat. Why are we fighting already? This has been causing me problems where I go into fights not prepared or my satchel's too full. Luckily, I found the loadout button, so I'm trying to remember to like at least hit my loadout button. Made it to the part where you can customize your secret, which I made them a little bit more blue and yellow, which is kind of the colors of Hey Jay here. Really like the changes I made there. And then after that, where did we go? We saved the village, and then we went back. Oh yeah, there was a storm. Wait, did I do this right? After the Doshaguma attack, you go to the desert and you get introduced to the Balahara, which this fight, I was really trying to lean more into the switch axe mechanics, the new ones that they introduced. So one I believe is called the Offset Rising Slash, which feels really good to do, but I'm not really finding a good opening to do it on most monsters, even though you see me probably use it quite a bit in the footage. It leaves you so vulnerable to attacks in later monsters because there's a huge cooldown on your animation, and to me the damage it does just isn't worth the risk. So I'm actually using it less and less. There's also the parry, which I've been really trying to time and use in monsters. And the ones that I do use it on, again, I'm not understanding where is the best time to use the parry, because you can still get damage during the parry. It doesn't completely neglect the monster's attack. You can still take damage or get poisoned. It just keeps you, like, it makes you vulnerable. So I'm not really enjoying using the counter other than it looks cool. So that's really the only reason that I keep doing it. So Balahara, other than that, I had done it in the beta. There's not much to talk about. I like how he's using like his tail to stab, or even if you're on a bat on his back, he's gonna like spit at you. So he's like trying to shoot you with the black stuff. Fun fight, but again, I tried him in the beta, so I don't have much more to say about him. Same with the next fight, which takes us into Doshaguma Alpha. I had shot him in the beta. I did all gun, so this was the first time I did a switch axe with him. Fun fight. He's a big beast to like just smash your axe into, but really I have no major takeaway away from that. The next fight though, which is my first apex, which is the Uthduna, which is the apex of the forest area. This thing actually is kind of one of the last hunts that made me commit to the switch axe. So again, I was trying to experiment still at this point. I went in with hunting horn, probably one of my least favorite weapons. And I lasted maybe 2-3 minutes with the hunting horn. I'm like, I can't fight this whale with my, I think, what did I have? I had a bagpipe. I was like, I like the sound of the bagpipe, but I can't just, it really doesn't feel satisfying. And I was taking so much damage. It's only later I realized I have not been upgrading my art, like even equipping or building new armor. So I was on my base armor against an apex, smacking it with this bagpipe. And I was like, give me my switch axe. And then we just went to town on this whale. He's kind of a boring fight in the sense that all he does is just flops on you, and I'm gonna flop on you. I didn't have too much fun. I love the intro, Olivia like using the hammer and just like bashing, like you can feel the pressure of the hammer against its face. Love that cutscene, but outside of that, really nothing to say much about Apex. And in fact, even the drip of the Apexes, I have nothing, like I don't like the weapon designs, I do not like the armor, and I fought Uthduna, the whale, Ray Dow, the electric wyvern, and then what's the tentacle monster, New Udra, which all of their armor has this like weird tribal vibe to it, and I'm just not about that. I also don't like that all the Apex monsters, you only get half the armor set, so you can't even see how the full armor looks like, because they only give you like 2 pieces to look at. So I can't comment on the full thing, but not a big fan of what I'm seeing so far. So after we get Uthduna under control, we see the White Wraith come in and like pretty much suck it dry and fly away. So it's giving Gore Magala kind of vibes, and I'm understanding that there's definitely a whole energy mechanism to the lore of this world, because later on, I made it out to the way to the point where I met the Keepers and learned about I'm getting ahead of myself, but I learned about Wyveria, the ancient capital of these forbidden lands, an ancient civilization that seemed to be quite smart, that had this like almost limitless energy, which we call Wilk, but somehow the Keepers call it Wyvern Milk of all things. I'm like, this is the stupidest name they could have thought. You could have called it anything that does not put the visual of a wyvern being milked. And it's also, it doesn't make sense because wyverns, which are based on like lizard anatomy, which hatch eggs, have nothing to do with milk, which comes from mammalian glands. So why would you put wyvern and milk together? And why would you use milk to describe an energy source when you can call it like plasma, you can call it essence, wyvern spirit, but no, wyvern milk. You got milk, you got enough milk to power up your freaking Capcom. They knew what they were doing. I got distracted. Where was I after the milk? So after the Uthduna is done, so the next place we venture off to is the Forge. We discover what I thought would be my favorite area of the game from the new scenes that they showed us. Honestly, I think, weirdly enough, I prefer the forest locale more than, what's it called? The Forge locale, or the basin with the oil basin or whatever. I got so lost in there trying to find a tentacle monster. We go there, we learn that the Forge isn't working. Go help us. We've got a monster, around the corner. And this is where we fight our first monster in the region called the Rompopolo, which I love saying out loud. Rompopolo, which is kind of a weird mosquito brute wyvern or something. Interestingly enough, I felt the design of this fight was very well crafted to teach new players that you gotta move. This monster punishes you for not moving, and as a switch axe, I loved it because I get in, do a few hits, he'd put his thorax or whatever into the ground to make an AoE. I'd back away. He can like close the gap with swipes. There's mucky terrains where if you like go off the island, it slows you down. So really smart design. I don't care for the monster. I don't care for its gear or anything. He looks ugly as heck, but design wise, great early game monster. Really like that. And after you fight him, you can finally upgrade your armor with some armor spheres. I could finally squeeze out some defense, and just in time because the fight after that is the Ray Dow. So we learn that there's a windstorm and that the White Wraith is probably tied to the Apex Predator in the windstorm, because we're starting to see a phenomenon here. When crazy things happen, the White Wraith shows up. So off we go, and of course White Wraith is fighting Ray Dow, and then we have to fight this thing. And I triple carded to Ray Dow in the beta. So with a switch axe of all things, I'm like, it's time for my revenge against Ray Dow. And this was definitely where the game started spiking in difficulty for me. The intensity of the fight, like it felt like I was sweating at this point, in the sense that it's a more intense fight. It's one of the first monsters I think that can truly combo at this point, and it can attack you from anything. You're behind it, it can slap you with the tail. You're in front of it, it's going to punch you. You're far from it, it's going to shoot you. Like, it can really attack you from anywhere, and it's just keeping up the pressure on you so you don't have as much time to breathe. I love it. It was intense. Had a good time. I got a little cocky when I killed it, and I forgot that I cut off its tail, and I was like climbing the corpse and trying to do my like cutesy pose and, you know, showing off that I'm a cool hunter, and I completely forgot to carve the tail, and everybody laughed at me. So that's what I get for that. Then story-wise, so we're still investigating, and now we're going to the Ice Shard Cliffs, I believe, which is another lovely area. And here I got introduced to an old friend. I met Nerscylla, of course, which I don't know if they like remixed the music or just gave her a whole new soundtrack, but the soundtrack to this fight was just it was epic. It was good. We got introduced to a little side character named Rove, which for some reason everybody seems to love Rove. I have a lot of takes you guys don't agree with, but I can't say I'm a fan of Rove. Based on the reputation of what a Rove was, I was like, I'm probably gonna find this character cool. I can't say I do. He's just a really nonchalant, sophisticated, whatever you call those little Wawa things. Anyways, the Nerscylla fight was a good time. It's also when I was taught about the offset attack of the switch axe, that if you like swing, I think your sword or your axe upwards, you can like actually properly parry or offset a monster attack. And I got to do it against Nerscylla once, and it felt really cool. I never got to do it again, so I have to learn how to do that better. And there's a bunch of baby Nerscyllas, which is cool because like as the switch axe, when I'm like swinging my axe towards Nerscylla and her babies are there, all you're hearing is like, and you're just like feeling every freaking little child being destroyed. It's pure dopamine. Please don't quote me out of context on that. I have to say the HD armor of Nerscylla looks so good. It looks like a freaking Gundam. I may like just do it just to get the I may craft it just to get the layered stuff later on, because I think it could look pretty cool. I've never had the futuristic look on my hunters by choice, so I might actually do that, just to have one build like that. And afterwards, we got stuck with a Hirabami, where it's like basically it looks like a Zerg. They come in 3 in this case, and unfortunately for me, I was fighting the wrong one. People were like, why are you fighting this one? This is not even the target. I was like, oh, I thought I had to kill all 3. So I abandoned one, went to the other one, finally fought it. It was actually really hard to fight with the switch axe in the air. I was like, oh, this is a bad matchup. But then I realized when you hit it a certain way, it'll drop these parts that you put in your slinger, and when you shoot that back at it, that's when it falls to the ground and you can do some crazy melee damage. So I love that you can use monster parts against them in the fight. That was such a good mechanic. And then there's also the part where there's like these floating rocks. I was like, how does this work? In the first one, I like latch onto it and the rock just hits me. I was like, I don't understand how this works. Oh, you got to get the monster between you and the rocks. And then I lined it up, pulled the rock, and it's like just bashing into the monsters. Really cool. Like, I love environmental damage and just using the environment against the monster. I've loved that since World. So that went down, and then after that, the Forge got under attack. Oh yeah, Nada got lost or something. He's like, I don't know where to go. So I'm like, why are we with this kid? He doesn't even know where to take us. So back to the Forge we go, and our monkeys attack us. I got to meet the Ajarak, and of course Capcom's like, you know what Monster Hunter needs? It needs more monkeys, because yes, hunters love monkeys. I absolutely hate monkeys. And I was getting slapped by these monkeys because monkeys always hit hard. I do like that these are big chunky monkeys where it's not like stupid monkeys like Rajang that's just ridiculous amount of anger. These are just chunky. They punch the ground, they like roll up towards you and try to like check you. It was a tough fight. They were hitting me hard, but I eventually got I understood their movement, and I was able to fight to kill them. Took longer than I would have liked though. And after that, we finally light the Forge, and the big tentacle monster comes out and is like, oh, this is my fire. And then I don't know, it goes down into the base, and I'm like, well, I guess I gotta go kill. And so I spent a lot of time trying to find it, and I got so lost trying to figure out the map. People are like, it's at the bottom. I'm like, look at the map. I'm like, how do you go to the bottom? Where's the bottom? This is where I really started appreciating setting up camps in the region, because then I could at least teleport to them, because I was running around literally everywhere. And thank goodness I set up a camp, because at one point, yeah, I carded for the first time against this thing, but I got to spawn at my nearby camp and I could just go back into the fight pretty easily. This thing, the new Udra, was so hard to read because I've never fought an octopus in this franchise because there's never been one before. And I just did not know how it would move. I'm like, which part is its front? Because it's turning and then it's like slapping you. But I really love that, like, no matter where you are, you're going to hit some tentacles, and eventually tentacles are going to fly. And that is probably the most satisfying part of this fight. The tentacles like flop around after you cut them. Really, really fun fight. I enjoyed it. I will take, you can have my first card. That's how you get my respect. After that, we get some heavy lore, I believe. Yeah, we go down, we meet the keepers, we finally find Nada's lost village, and then before we go in, Rathalos comes in, or whatever it is, it's like a Rathalos on milk or something, and he's just like, no, you're gonna fight me first. And the first like little beats of the song, like the dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, it's Old World Monster Hunter. I don't know if they did it in World and in Rise, but like that triggered so much PTSD. I was like, oh my god, this Rathalos, I gotta fight Rathalos. Like, what did they do to him? And right off the bat, he's so intense. Like, he's aggressive. He's got like the essence in his feet, and he's just like punching, like he's sliding and kicking you and punching the ground that has an AoE. And with the switch axe, it felt like an amazing dance. I can't recommend it enough. Like, if you look at my early fights with him, I was like dodging and attacking, and it flowed so well. And I think it's because it's also a returning monster. I have some muscle memory that I just naturally can anticipate some moves, like when he's gonna turn and he's gonna flop his tail, and I'm just like, cut through here, hop through here, roll, back roll, hit him in the face. And because he's so intense and so aggressive, it was just flowing so good with the switch axe. It was hot. Like, it was some really intense fight. People were telling me, oh, the next fight's gonna be bad, the camera's gonna be terrible. I disagree. I had no trouble with the camera against the Rathalos fight. It just flowed so well. I cannot praise this fight enough. There's a few times I even got my parry in there and it just felt good. He roared, I'm like, parry, slash, slash. And it just, best fight I've had so far. So the tentacle monster in this one, the Rathalos fight, are probably my two favorites so far. Ray Dow's also up there. I completely forgot to talk about the Frenzied or whatever Doshaguma, which also drank too much milk and got angry. He also carded me. I didn't really have anything to say other than it just brought the difficulty up to a very fair, like a good challenging level for me. Other little things I wanted to comment on that I've been learning about. Werner, I don't think we talked much about Werner. I think he's like an engineer, the guy who invented Wyvern Fire, if I understand right. Kind of a jerk, doesn't quite understand social cues. And at first people are like, oh, he's such a jerk, I don't like him. I'm like, what's wrong with him? He's blunt, like an engineer. I used to be an engineer, I get it. It's 1 or 0. There's no emotions involved. There's no empathy. You're just like, there's a problem to solve and you solve it. I could totally relate. But then later on, he gets a little bit like jerky-esque. And I'm like, okay, I get that. And then there's I unlocked the smelting of armor spheres using monster parts. And I really think they fumbled the bag here, because it takes 100 points to get an armor sphere plus, which, let's be real, is not the craziest item to craft in Monster Hunter. And 100 points in Monster Hunter parts is a lot of monster parts. Like, you gotta do a lot of side hunting just to build armor sphere plus. So I felt that they made that mechanic, the grinding doesn't make sense to me. Maybe it's because I'm spoiled and I'm used to having armor sphere plus in large quantities. But like, what are you doing, Capcom? Why are we? And then I've also dabbled more now with my guild card or my hunter profile. And I gotta say, they did a fantastic job here, where they've given you all these widgets. You can put in your background music. It's not just the poses. You can really put what you want on your hunter profile / guild card and really make your personality shine through. So this is what mine looks like so far, if the editor wants to put it in. And I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. And I really look forward to seeing, like, I'm just gonna evolve this thing over time as I get inspired. So that's where I'm at. I believe I covered everything I wanted to. It's already a pretty long journal already. I've covered a lot of story, and it's really hard for me at this point to do side missions or side hunts, because I just want to see where this is going. I want to unlock more monsters to hunt because they just keep getting better. This story is really getting good. What is going to happen next? So I think I'm about maybe 1 or 2 journals away from like having the full story out to me, and I'm just going to keep going. So hopefully you see me on the next stream or on the next journal next week, and I'll see you there. And then if you are playing Monster Hunter Wilds, I hope you've been enjoying it as much as I have. If yes, let me know why. If not, let me know why, so that we can talk about this great game. See you in the next one, and until next time, Keep it classy.